Hi, everyone, and welcome to StudioJake. I, of course, am your host, Jacob Airy. Thank you so much for joining me today on my vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. It's true, I discuss film, television, anime, video games, and also movies. And today, big news. Disney has finally released the full trailer for their live action remake of Little Mermaid. Now, Little Mermaid, I've always had sort of a contentious relationship with, even the original one, because the simple reason is I think it was one of Disney's first attempts to sort of step into the political pandering world. So, what do I mean by that? I mean, if you watch The Little Mermaid, it certainly has some of those modern feminism tropes where. So, Ariel, she's one of the most unlikable princesses in the Disney princess canon. She's whiny. She is willing to, sacrifice her entire kingdom just so she can get what she wants. So this evil person, right, Ursula, she steals Ariel's voice. In exchange, Ariel gets to meet the prince that she likes, setting in motion all the conflict that happens in the entire movie. And then the prince has to, help her out. And then she defeats Ursula, right? But then she gets all the credit and none of the blame, even though she was basically responsible for everything that happened in the plot. So, whenever I heard there was going to be a live action version of The Little Mermaid, I was thinking, I don't know why people are so upset about the gender and race swapping. The Little Mermaid was always sort of this. And I've actually gotten into some pretty funny debates with people like Faith Moore, author of Saving Cinderella, and novelist C.S. Johnson. I've been on both their YouTube channels where I kind of discuss this and we go back and forth on this. But am I surprised that they're going to race swap a character who comes from Danish mythology? No, of course I'm not, because that's what Disney is today. They don't care about their audience. They care about pandering to a social media mob that clearly has no money because Disney is losing money hand over fist on certain projects for sure. So this mob isn't really helping, right? This sort of pandering, this political pandering they're doing to this social media mob is not going the way they thought it would. So they're having to put this in the Little Mermaid, and no one is happy about it. I think even these weirdos, if they were able to scrap together some money to take their imaginary children to the Little Mermaid, I think even their kids would be like, "That doesn't look like Ariel," right? Because that's how this always works. So, what am I saying? Pretty much, I'm not expecting the movie to do well. This trailer is not as bad as the teaser trailer that they released. But one thing that it kind of weirdly confirmed for me is how Disney is doubling down on the bleakness of it all. So I don't know what it is. It's not just Disney that is doing this. Warner Brothers is doing it. I've noticed Paramount and Universal are doing it. Lionsgate, Amazon. They're doing this weird thing where they don't want to do lighting. So scenes will be overly dark for no reason. You can barely make out what's going on. And lighting used to be like you know, considered an art form almost in the film industry. And it feels like, especially Amazon, Disney, and Warner Brothers, it's like they're cutting back on their light budget. Unless you're part of that weirdo Dogme 45 movement in Europe, lighting is something important. It's something that makes or breaks a movie. We saw this big complaint about the Game of Thrones final season was so many scenes were shot at night with no good lighting, so you couldn't really tell what was going on. And that's the thing with this is, one of the things that animation is good for is if you watch even the original Little Mermaid, I'll give it credit for this, or Finding Nemo, say, or Moana, is they're able to make the ocean seem colorful and bright and beautiful because of you're not seeing it through human eyes, right? You're trying to see it through the creatures who live in the ocean. Even the first Aquaman by James Wan was able to do this, right? They made the underwater kingdom look bright. Not I know that in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, the ocean did look dark because of course they have to change how Namor's origin is and all that nonsense. Disney again. And again, super dark, super bleak. Why can't they make it lively and colorful? Look, I get that it's in the ocean and maybe they wanted it to look more realistic, but one thing that they could have done is shown it through the mer people's eyes of seeing it bright and fluorescent, not dark and bleak. And I think that will actually hurt the movie more than anything is it doesn't look vibrant like any of the animation specials or its original film or even the television show. I remember my sister used to watch the Little Mermaid series that was on Toon Disney and Disney One Saturday morning, and it was very bright, vibrant, and colorful, and it worked well together. And with this trailer, it doesn't look that way at all. It looks dark and moody and depressing, and no one wants to see a remake of a children's musical in that way. It's just not how people want to remember it. I'm so tired of Hollywood trying to subvert my expectations. I want them to exceed my expectations. Also as an aside, I think it's kind of funny because they wanted to make Sebastian look like a real crab, but then they picked a species of crab that is not nautical. It can only go in the water for a certain length of time or it'll drown. It's a land type of crab. So maybe they'll address that in the film. I don't know. But it's just so dumb how they couldn't even do their research to do this. This is what happens when you fire really good industry veterans and you hire a bunch of people whose resumes include being a Tumblr blogger. So that's the way it is. I just don't see this movie doing well. I think it's going to be rejected. Same as the previous live action remake. Cinderella and Lady and the Tramp were the only ones that were decent. All the others have been mediocre at best and terrible at worst. And I think The Little Mermaid is not going to exceed our expectations on that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up, that you'll leave me a comment and tell me what you think, that you'll share it out with your friends, and of course, consider subscribing to StudioJake. I cover all kinds of nerd and pop culture topics, including film, television, anime, comic books, and so much more. I hope that you'll also head over to my main website, StudioJakeMedia.com, where I have even more news, views, and commentary. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, head over to my locals page. That's studiojakemedia.locals.com. It's the best way to support me. I'm trying to build a little community there. I have exclusive reviews and articles, so definitely head over there and check it out. And I'll see you next time, right here on Studio Jake.